You're listening to a Rev FM production podcast. Welcome to Pastors Live, the show that discusses things of the Bible and current events for people who love to laugh. And now, the hosts who answer questions with more questions. It's Pastors Dave, Ty, Shane, and the other guy.
And good morning. Well, good day. It's a Thursday, you know. And by the way, welcome to Pastors Live. We've got some great people here in the studio today. We got Gary Austin. We got the voice of the Valley, the man, the myth, the legend. We're so thankful for you. We also have Pastor Steve is here today.
Hi, Steve. Howdy.
Pastor Dave's here today.
God bless you guys.
And then we also have Pastor Shane is here today.
Hello.
And I'm Pastor Ty. Yep. And I'm enjoying being here with you guys. Hey, we got a couple things coming up locally here. We want to let you guys know about. No, not the temperature. That's not burn. No.
Please, Lord Jesus.
Easy. Some of my favorite jokes over the last few days have been, we've had a new administration and they've fixed global warming in the last 3 days. So
snow everywhere, coast to coast.
Yeah, snow everywhere. I've appreciated a lot of the folks in Florida that are, going out and measuring snow in their backyard, and I.
Yeah, Houston. I think even Houston had 1/32 of an inch of
shut everything down.
Shut everything down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, shut everything down.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see the guy in? I think it was in New Orleans that was actually sledding on the 10 because there's no cars out there.
Oh,
so
no.
the guy takes his sled out there, and it's like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm taking advantage of it.
My hero.
Yeah. Well, and the rednecks come out,
There you go. There you go.
So, Steve, your family got snow, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. How much snow did you
Seriously.
get?
Yeah, they...
Oh, yeah. No, it's snowing.
In the Panhandle, where we lived, they were out there sliding, doing... their four-wheelers and stuff, so it looked like they got like a few inches.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That's crazy,
and
man.
I'm not sure about down in Gainesville area. I'm sure they got something.
Oh, yeah,
so.
they got some snow.
That whole area's got snow. Maybe we should change it to the Gulf of Alaska instead.
Ooh. Oh, there you go, Gulf of Alaska. That works because it's getting cold. Hey,
It's weird to see the whole South.
Just a little joke.
It's weird to see the whole South with
Little
snow
humor.
and ice.
Right?
Louisiana, snow globe.
Well, it's fun for me to
Alabama.
So I talked to Ignacio yesterday, one of our wonderful musicians that has moved. He's moving, and he said, "Hey, I'll call you in a few hours." And 8 hours later, he called me. It took him that long to get to North Carolina. He says nobody here knows how to drive in this stuff.
Yeah.
He said. He said he's pulling a trailer and everything, and so he's like, "This is, this is really good." I mean, it's a lot of snow.
Tim and Sherry Rupp are on the road right now for the Strong Blue Line, and they travel on the roads when they go. And Sherry sent a prayer request yesterday saying, "Just please keep it in prayer. We're doing great, but where we're traveling, these people are not used to these conditions, and without being rude, they literally don't know how to drive in these conditions because they don't, and the road departments don't have equipment to deal with this stuff because we never deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
And I would like to point out, living in Idaho, I do want to point something out. Everybody here forgets how to drive in this stuff until we get our first couple of snowfalls.
To be fair, though, Ty, we get 12 weeks of really great weather, and then we forget about the 9.5 months of this stuff.
Right. And we have to deal with massive immigration, too, because we got all those people from California coming.
Easy.
Yeah, I was just saying, where are you going right now? What are you doing? Wow. Get us in trouble.
That's Shane at watersprings.net. Shane at watersprings.net.
Not international immigration, national immigration.
Again, Shane at watersprings.net.
So, by the way, if you do want to be involved in the program, we'd love to hear from you. Watersprings.net is not where we want to send you for emails. No. It's actually the Rev. So it's Pastors Live at the Rev.fm, Pastors Live at the Rev.fm. But if you do want to check out the church, you can go to watersprings.net and check that out.
If you have complaints, that's Shane at watersprings.net. Everything else is Pastors Live at the Rev.fm.
That's right. Hey, so have you guys noticed that the National Archives is trying to have people volunteer to transcribe handwriting?
No.
Have you guys seen some of that? There's a little ad campaign going on right now. They're trying to get people to volunteer. It's a job, but it's a volunteer job. So it's really not a job. It's just a volunteer thing to take historical documents, letters, things like that, and to transcribe the handwriting because people can no longer read cursive. And so today is National Handwriting Day. And so I thought I'd just kind of point that out. That do you guys remember getting handwritten letters from your parents and family and writing them yourself?
My mother and father both, their handwriting was beautiful, but my mother's was a work of art.
Right.
My Sylvia, her cursive is absolutely gorgeous. She will oftentimes say, honey, you better fill out this, if we're sending a greeting card or something to someone, maybe you better sign it because people can't read my writing. And it's not because it's terrible writing. It's quite the opposite. Her writing is so pretty. And so she'll say, I'm not sure what that says about mine. So, but I guess it's readable. But back in the day, man, cursive was just so pretty. It was almost like a work of art.
Well, so Dave, you and I grew up when, we walked uphill both, to school both ways. But
people don't do that?
No, I don't, apparently not.
How's that happen?
Parents drop them off apparently. I had handwriting. That was part of what I did. It was on my grade. It was on my report card.
Yeah.
You had the
penmanship,
same thing, right? Yeah.
Penmanship. You had a penmanship grade.
Yeah, actually, ours was called handwriting. So,
I'm the old guy.
Yeah, a few years later. But did you grew up doing cursive, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Right? That was it.
We had to.
Okay, you had to.
Well, we did that in
you realize,
second grade.
You realize that you have to use the microphone, right? You're sitting so far back.
You don't have a headset, bro.
Yeah, it's like
we're not that far advanced.
Yeah.
We're not.
No.
Man, one day.
One day.
So, Steve, if you don't mind my asking, how old are you? I know you've been in ministry for 30 years. How old are you?
54.
You're 54.
54.
So even at that point, you guys still had to practice cursive and handwriting in grade school.
We had to do assignments in it.
Right.
It would tell us. Yeah, cursive. Yeah.
And if the teacher couldn't read it, you got points deducted. Shane, when you were in elementary school and junior high or middle school, because you're 29, 30?
Yes.
Right. Did you guys have to use? Did you get graded on?
Yeah, it
penmanship.
It wasn't until mid 2000s that they stopped that. So all the way through elementary, you had to learn cursive and write it. And you had spelling tests.
So it hasn't been that long ago.
Yeah. But in high school and middle school, it was typing class.
Yeah.
It transitioned to, okay, you got cursive down.
Now, did you have typing or keyboarding?
Typing. It was typing.
Yeah, and now here at our school, it's no longer called at Water Spring School.
Oh, at Water Springs,
we have keyboarding.
Interesting.
Right. When I was a young man, it was all about typing.
Yeah,
and it was the Smith Coronas that were 128 pounds. And,
manual typewriter.
Yeah,
and
the manual
keys,
typewriters.
You actually had to kind of put some pressure behind it.
Yeah.
More pressure than pulling a trigger.
Well,
bam.
I have that Royal typewriter up in my office, right? But one of the things for me, we had to learn how to maintain the typewriter. So my first semester of typing was an elective, but my dad was like, "You're going to have to take this," right? So it was manual typewriters. My first year, so we had to learn how to do the ribbons and everything else. Second semester, they swapped out. Everything went electric.
Yeah.
So it was electric typewriters with a big ball in the middle of it. Still had to learn how to maintain the thing so we could use it.
Right.
Of course, I'm really glad we did that because when I started in radio, Gary probably remembers this, a lot of the forms you had to go pick up or they mailed them to you and you had to put them in a typewriter and you had to type out on the forms. And I remember having to line everything up and get everything lined up to type out. That was a big deal. I mean, we didn't have PDFs. Where you typed into the PDFs and stuff like that. So,
no little red squiggly underneath to say you've mistyped it or misspelled it.
Oh, yes.
No blue line to say your grammar stinks.
Right.
You were sort of on your own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, the technological boom just it changed everything. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about, like, I wonder what it's going to be like when they find ancient cursive writings, 100 years in the future from now.
Sure.
Right? They're going to go, what is this? Because society doesn't use it anymore, right?
Well, and Cyrillic and Eucharitic and all that stuff is like that for us now.
Well, that's exactly right. But then you think about the important documents of our own nation, right?
Yeah.
The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, even the Mayflower Compact. You think about those things. If the I don't want to say the language, but if the written language is lost, do you lose part of the history and the value and the power of the history? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I read the Mayflower Compact, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute." When people say, "Well, the United States wasn't actually a Christian nation," really, go back and read that again. The whole purpose of developing this beautiful nation, this great experiment, was for the purpose of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. I mean, it's spelled out as clear as the nose on your face.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
In cursive.
No, I was going to say
Steve's talking.
Well, yeah, please listen. This is very.
Steve's talking.
This is so important.
like
You're not
E.F.
going to
Hutton.
believe this. No, but even the Ivy League schools, all their, what do they call their papers and stuff when they formed or whatever, it was all about
the
God
Constitution and all that stuff.
Yeah, all their constitutions in their bylaws or whatever.
Right.
Was all about God and all about Christ and everything.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's kind of
Look
amazing.
how it's faded now,
Yeah, it's
right?
faded.
Yeah. Well, and we talk about the idea that the Word of God.
Do you need a nap,
is,
Steve?
I know.
I do.
He's like, wow, that was a lot.
I'll be back.
a lot for
Look
tomorrow.
how much you took out of him, bro.
I know, right? I was like, yeah, he just, you get paid to come in and take a nap. It's like,
Don't lock your knees while you're talking.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'm feeling woozy. I'm feeling like I'm going to faint.
Where's Dean with those donuts?
Yeah.
Pastor Ty, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just thinking about, we have the Word of God, and the Word of God is what we base our life and our responses around. We're not just running and doing whatever we want, saying whatever we want, doing whatever we want. God has said, "Hey, this is my relationship with you. This is what it looks like." And last week we were looking at the first commandment, right? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. And you think about that beautiful kind of exclusivity clause in the contract, and then people are like, well, we're not under the law, but Jesus said, I and my Father are one. If you love me, you keep my commandments. Jesus is the God of Sinai. He's the God of the mountain, saying, if you love me, you keep my commandments. These are my commandments, that you love God and love one another, for in this you fulfill all of the law and all of the prophets. And so when you think about, starting something, having that foundation of the Word of God is incredibly important.
Yeah.
Because we have to have a foundation that is beyond our humanity, and the Word of God and God's way is beyond our humanity.
What's so cool about that too is when you look at transcriptions over the course of time, right? When you look at like some of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the book of Isaiah, the complete scroll of Isaiah, right? When we translate it to English, right, in our written language, like we were talking about, the cool thing about the word of the Lord is it does abide forever, and history proves it, right? When you look at that scroll, which is thousands of years old, it's literally translated word for word, same today. And you think, man, we're just making it up, like Ty said. If there's any mockers or skeptics or whatever, it's like, man, history proves that God has been with us from the very beginning, that his word does abide forever, and it can be trusted. And I love that.
Right.
I love that.
And it abides forever because he promises to preserve his word. And so if indeed the Bible is the word of God, as we say that it is, and it is, then you would believe that God's going to preserve it, because why? It's his word.
Yeah.
And he is able.
Yeah.
Yeah.
between ancient Hebrew texts, the Greek Septuagint, and all the other texts in between. Right, there's just so much faithfulness in the Word of God because God is faithful, right? And that just, to me, it encourages me in my walk with God to know that I can sit down, I can trust His Word, that it's not, some tampered with thing of man that has an agenda or anything. No, it's from heaven. It's the Lord's,
is, and
right?
The reading currently, today we're in 2 Chronicles 35. Yesterday we were in 34. So you have this young guy.
I'm glad we're doing it in the right order.
Josiah, right? Yesterday we are introduced in our reading. We're introduced to Josiah, the 8-year-old king, right? And the years go by very quickly in those verses, and all of a sudden, at around 20 years of age, the Hilkiah comes and says, "Oh my goodness, King, you're never going to believe this. We found the Bible in church.
We found the Word of God in the house of God.
Right?
Wow, go figure.
We were cleaning up the temple, and like you commanded us to do, and look, we found the book of the law of the Lord, and here it is." And this young guy, Josiah, this amazing guy, just says, "Oh, we are going to do what this book says to do." But what I love, Shane, is that it goes along with our conversation. Yes, it had been lost in that sense under the rubble, but then there it is. It's still there. And in a real sense, the rubble of this world and the rubbish and the mess and the chaos and all this stuff, guess what? When you come right down to it, hopefully our listeners have a church that they can go to, and not hopefully as surprising. Oh, look, our pastor is actually teaching from the book of the law.
Weird, right?
How weird that I went to church and heard the Bible. But here's the thing, and we all know this. There are churches in this world, and unfortunately there are churches in our country where a person can go to church week after week after month after year and actually never hear the Bible or never hear a Bible teaching. Oh, they might read a psalm or a proverb or something that makes people feel warm and fuzzy, and then the minister gets up and shares a funny story about their golf game or their dog or something dumb, and hey, it was really motivational and told me to go out and be nice today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
I hope our listeners are blessed enough to have a church like we have with Water Springs and many other really good churches in our up and down our valley where the Bible is being taught.
Well, we were talking about how cursive disappeared, right?
Right.
Well, how does the Bible disappear? I think there's some similarities,
parallel there, sure.
Right? Because first of all, when a culture's priority changes, and that's one of the things, is one of the reasons that cursive disappeared. And it hasn't completely disappeared.
Yeah,
but
diminished maybe?
Diminished, but they have stopped teaching it. That was part of the Common Core transition that they had, which was different priorities, right? So it's a changing of priorities. Hey, we're not going to do this so we can do that. And if you think about it, sometimes people are like, oh, well, I'm going to do this instead of that. Eugene Peterson in Pastor, his memoir, he makes a point that, they had this big building thing going on and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, after the building was finished, people, were only coming to church like once every 4 weeks, or we couldn't see people for 6 weeks. And he'd go visit them and they'd be like, oh, we've been going to church every week for 40 years and we love being we were so thankful to be part of this thing. And then the other week, we just decided we were going to go fishing and that's what we did. So, hey, you won't see us if the fish are biting, but, hey, we love you. We're not leaving you. You're still our pastor. And
that's rough.
It's a change of priority. So people have changes of priorities. I think the other thing too is, one of the things about like cursive is time constraint. And so I think we forsake the Word of God when we fill that sacred space with other stuff, right? Like there's a time and a space for us as Christians to be in the Word of God. And when we decide, hey, you know what, I got some other things going on. I got other stuff that's happening. I can't right now. I got to do some other things. That's a problem. And then I guess there is one thing that is very, very real. It's a focus on technology. It's like I mean, this is a book. I mean, so you have to pick it up, and I think sometimes
he
people,
said as he picked up his Bible,
as he did, yes, right. But sorry, it is, yes, that's right, it's radio. But
at some
that's
point,
nice that
like
it's a
you were saying,
conversation
yeah.
between the five of us, right? But
Yeah.
we forget. Oh yeah, there's a couple of thousand people listening.
yeah, that's
I
right.
like what you're saying,
Yeah.
though. You don't compartmentalize God,
Right.
in your life.
Right.
Because you got to be like the disciples that look
Right.
at Jesus and say, "You alone, Lord, hold the words of life."
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just
and,
sometimes.
and let me walk with where you are.
Right. We got nowhere else to go.
Right.
Right.
Well, yeah, and that issue of focus on technology starts to take our place, take the Bible's place,
Yeah.
right? Like Shane, like you're saying, it's like gotta open the Word of God and get in it. And so we hope that you guys will do that. Hey, listen, hope you got to church yesterday. We hope you get to church this weekend. Hey, you're loved, your family, and you know what? It measure your feet. Apparently today is Measure Your Feet Day. Are you wearing the right size shoes? Hey, you're loved, your family. God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You've reached the end of another episode of Pastors Live, a Rev FM production podcast. Thank you for listening. Submit your questions and comments by email to pastorslive@therev.fm. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review from your favorite podcast listening platform. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon so you don't miss the next episode drop.